The sun rises over the vast and undulating Mongolian steppes. We pan across the endless grassland, over a small river snaking through it, eventually coming to rest upon a lone rider silhouetted against the brightening sky. The wind catches his banner, and he lifts his head to the heavens, nostrils flaring, eyes blazing with ambition. This is a story of one man's rise to power, the creation of an empire that would span 2 continents, a legend so colossal he would be known as the father of nations. His name was Genghis Khan, but before he was Khan, he was Temujin. He was born in 1162 to a chieftain father and a princess mother, uniting 2 powerful clans. His childhood would not be peaceful, however, as raids by rival tribes forced him and his family into exile. During this time, Temujin would develop the skills that would make him a great warrior and leader. And in one fateful incident, he would earn the name Genghis Khan. As a young man, Genghis would marry the beautiful but politically connected Borte, daughter of a rival chieftain. But their happiness would be short-lived. As they made camp after a long day's travel, she would be kidnapped by a rival tribe, forcing Genghis to flee for his life. While recovering from his wounds, his wife would somehow manage to escape her captors and return to him, pregnant. Though he had failed to protect his wife, this humiliation would soon be forgotten when she returned to him bearing not 1, but 2 babies, making the young Genghis a father before he even reached adulthood. With his newfound purpose, he would rally his clansmen and set about tracking down those responsible for the attack. After a fierce battle, his men emerged victorious, capturing the ringleaders of the raid. Genghis then did something that shocked everyone. Instead of killing them, he forgave them and welcomed them to join his banner. Such magnanimity displayed both wisdom and strength, and his following grew quickly, amassing such numbers that he would dub them the Mongol Horde. This growing army would eventually march on the city of Karakorum, capital of the once great Khazars, who had been a thorn in the side of the Mongols for generations. The invaders stormed the city walls, killing or enslaving all who resisted. It was the first of many cities that would fall to the Mongol war machine. From there, Genghis turned his attention to the west, encountering yet another formidable foe, the Taijute clan. The resulting battle between the 2 forces would be one of the largest in history, lasting no less than 4 days. But by the end of it, the Taijute were utterly crushed, setting the stage for Genghis to unite the tribes of the Mongolian steppe under his banner. And with that, the Mongol Empire was born. Throughout the next decade, Genghis would bring law and order to the lands of the Mongols. In 1206, he would be proclaimed Genghis Khan, meaning Ocean of Wisdom, or Supreme Leader. By this point, he had proven himself to be a brilliant strategist, tactician, and leader. So his ascension to power was no surprise. Under his rule, the Mongols would become a meritocracy, where advancement was based on capability rather than birthright. And he established a new script for the Mongolian language, allowing knowledge to be recorded for the first time. Even though the Mongols were nomads, he founded a new capital city, creating a center of government and trade that he named Karakorum. But while Genghis Khan brought peace and prosperity to Mongolia, his ambitions stretched far beyond his homeland. Across Asia and Europe, powerful trading cities lay ripe for the taking. For centuries, these cities had prospered due to their position along the Silk Road, a network of trade routes connecting east and west. Some of these cities were ruled by local kings, others by warlords. But most were independent, self-governing communes run by merchants. Despite their differences, all these cities shared one thing in common: wealth. They possessed untold riches that the nomadic Mongols desired. Genghis Khan assembled a large army, consisting of tens of thousands of horsemen, each mounted on sturdy ponies able to withstand the rigors of Central Asian warfare. These soldiers rode out onto the steppes, ready to face any opposition. But despite the ferocity of his warriors, Genghis Khan understood that outright conquest would be difficult. Many of the cities along the Silk Road were protected by stout walls, too much so for the Mongols to simply batter down. So instead, Genghis sought to circumvent their defenses and strike from within. He began by dispatching diplomats to the cities, demanding submission and promising leniency. Those who accepted would pay tribute to the Mongols in the form of gold and silk. and in return, their city would be spared. Any who refused would learn the Mongols' other lesson: military might. As the armies approached, entire caravans would vanish, swallowed up by the earth itself. Cities that refused to bend the knee saw their walls breached, their citizens put to the sword, and their treasures taken back to Mongolia. Entire cities were razed, leaving nothing but smoldering ruins behind. In one instance, Genghis Khan offered a Jin dynasty general an honorable surrender. But when the terms were refused, he ordered the city of Bulak-Bahai to be destroyed. From the air, we see the Mongol hordes descend on the city like locusts. Soldiers pour through the broken gates, hacking and slashing. All who stand against the Mongols are cut down. The last Jin soldier falls, bringing an end to the city's resistance. The Mongols plunder the treasury, stealing as much gold and silk as they can carry. Then, they burn the city to the ground. As the sun sets over the smoking ruins, we pull back to reveal the extent of the destruction. Homes are burned and destroyed, corpses litter the streets, and the once proud city walls are nothing but rubble. It is a scene of utter devastation, a testament to the Mongols' ruthlessness. Yet despite the brutality, there was method to Genghis Khan's madness. He understood that total destruction would break the will of the cities along the Silk Road, forcing them to submit. And even though Genghis Khan was willing to unleash hell on anyone who stood against him, he was also a pragmatist. He recognized the value of the cities and their inhabitants. Rather than simply destroying them, he chose to subjugate them, using their skills and resources to further his own goals. It was a strategy that worked. One by one, the cities fell before him, becoming part of the growing Mongol Empire. By 1221, Genghis Khan had united the nomadic tribes of the Mongolian steppe and subjugated the cities of northern China. Only a few years later, his grandson would conquer all of China. After consolidating his power in China, Genghis turned his attention to the Middle East. In 1223, he sent an army west to conquer Persia, but they were defeated by the Khwarezmians. Undeterred, he assembled a massive force of over 100,000 troops and headed west himself. The Mongols swept through Persia, sacking cities and putting whole populations to the sword. They advanced as far as the Caucasus Mountains, where they clashed with Russian princes who were allied with the Khwarezmians. The Mongols were victorious, but it was a costly victory. Faced with heavy losses, Genghis decided to turn back and focus on securing his empire. As he rode across the vast Mongolian steppe, we see how his empire looked from above. Vast swaths of land had been conquered, stretching from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe. Within this empire were diverse people, cultures, and religions. Yet despite their differences, they were all subjects of the Great Khan. But Genghis Khan's empire was not built solely on conquest. Between battles, he managed his empire, appointing officials to govern his far-flung territories. He encouraged trade and cultural exchange along the Silk Road, which brought wealth and prosperity to his empire. He even established diplomatic relations with European powers, sending embassies to the courts of kings and popes. Through it all, Genghis Khan remained focused on his goal of uniting the world under the Mongol banner. Yet as his empire grew, so did his enemies. In 1227, he faced a coalition of Chinese and Persian forces who sought to end the Mongol threat. Genghis Khan led his army into battle, where his cavalry thundered across the plains, firing arrows on horseback. He fought bravely, but it was clear that his enemies were too powerful. With heavy hearts, he and his men retreated back to Mongolia. It was here that Genghis Khan died, his empire still intact but under threat. Before his passing, he appointed his third son, Ogdai, as his successor, hoping he would continue his work of uniting the world. But with the empire spread so thin across the vast Eurasian landmass, could it survive the loss of its great leader? In the years after Genghis Khan's death, his empire would grow to encompass all of modern-day Mongolia, most of China, and large parts of Central Asia. His grandson, Kublai Khan, would conquer all of China, founding the Yuan dynasty, and his empire would stretch from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe. It was an empire unlike any other, forged in the fires of war and held together by the vision of one man. Though Genghis Khan is remembered today as a ruthless conqueror, he was also a visionary leader. He created an empire that spanned 2 continents, a feat that had never been done before. He was a master of logistics and administration, keeping his vast empire together through a combination of military force and sophisticated governance. He was also a patron of the arts and sciences, encouraging cultural exchange between the different peoples of his empire. It is hard to imagine the world as it is today without the Mongol Empire. Genghis Khan's conquests opened up new trade routes and facilitated the exchange of goods and ideas between East and West. His empire also played a key role in the spread of Islam and Christianity, and his descendants would go on to rule China for nearly a century. Despite his many accomplishments, Genghis Khan's legacy has been tarnished by his reputation as a brutal conqueror. And yet, without his military genius and strategic brilliance, it is unlikely that the Mongol Empire would have ever existed. He was a man of contradictions, a ruthless killer who was also a visionary leader, a devout Muslim who respected all religions, a brutal conqueror who was also a patron of the arts. He was Genghis Khan, the father of nations, the ocean of wisdom, and his legacy continues to fascinate and inspire people around the world. This has been the legendary history of Genghis Khan. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe for more epic historical tales. Thank you for watching. Do you think Genghis Khan was a ruthless conqueror or a brilliant leader who shaped history? What surprised you most about the Mongol Empire? Would you like to see a video on the fall of the Mongol Empire? Which empire do you think was stronger, the Mongols or the Romans? If Genghis Khan lived today, how far do you think he could go? If you enjoyed reliving these epic moments in History Revealed channel, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an exciting episode. Thank you for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Till next video, enjoy your time.